Hi folks, this is Kevin, the multi-night guy. Welcome to my palatial kitchen, where today we're going to talk about making miso. Miso is a fermented soybean food. If you've been to the Japanese restaurant where you get that brown soup that separates into two layers, you know, that's miso soup. It's made with miso. Here's some. Made it last year. I live in Japan. My mother-in-law, my Japanese mother-in-law, taught me how to make miso 5-6 years ago. I've been making it for the family since then. I'm making it again today, tomorrow. So during that process, I'm going to bring you along, show you how to do it. A few friends have asked me to put it up, so I will. Miso is really good for you. It's only got 4 ingredients. Those ingredients are soybeans, koji, I'll explain what that is later, sea salt, and water. Let me say also, there's more than one kind of miso, but the type we're making, that's what's in it. We're going to make 2 different kinds of miso. More on that later. But right over here on the stove, I've got 4 kilograms of non-Monsanto Japanese soybeans that have been soaking since last night. And the reason they soak is to remove the phytic acid before I cook them and to soften the fibers of the beans. Phytic acid will block absorption of protein in the body, so they become more bioavailable and easier to cook. That's the reason. So the next step will be, I'm going to cook them probably for about 8 hours until they are smushy. They'll easily smash in the fingers. Then after that, we'll get to the actual putting the batch together. I told you we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about it in a month from now and a month after that. It's going to take basically a whole year for this miso to happen. And I'm not really going to make the miso. I'm going to kind of arrange it so that the miso happens. And then the miso is going to happen. And the longer you let it go, the better it is. This stuff that I just showed you, we let it go just over a year. And it turned out really well, so we're making a double batch this time because the consumption in the family has gone up, which is a good thing. Miso has, they say it's got anti-cancer. It's basically good for anything that ails you, to include heavy metal toxicity and radiation poisoning. Look it up. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. I will get these rinsed, refilled, and then I'll get the heat on them, and we'll rejoin mid-cooking. Bye-bye. So the beans have been cooking for about an hour and a half, and they're starting to get a white foam on the top. In Japanese, it's called aku. I'm not sure what we would call it in English, but here you can see it right here. See that? Right now I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to continue to remove it as the beans cook. So. Hello. It's dark outside. It's about 6:30. The beans have been going for about 4 hours now. I'm going to fish one out and smash it and show you what it looks like at this point. Hot. So here's our bean. Ready? Oh, it's hot. See how it broke in half? It will smash, but it's not quite where we want it yet. I mean, it's done enough to eat, but it's not ready. In the next stage, we're going to smash them, so it's hard to overcook them at this point. So next time, hopefully, they'll be done. Morning, everybody. It's the next day. I let the beans go until 10:30 last night, so they got a full 8 hours on the stove at a simmer. Remember, I took off all that scum, which after the first couple rounds, it was pretty insignificant after that. The beans, I turned them off. The pots are still kind of warm. Here's what we got. We got a nice bean that smashes real easy with hardly any pressure from my finger. That's what you want. The reason you want it like that is because what happens now, those beans go into this. This is called a suribachi. It's a traditional Japanese mortar and pestle. I've got 2 of them. I've got some people coming over. And they're going to get worked to the consistency of peanut butter, basically. Okay, so now you take now comes the bean smashing part. You get a slotted spoon, straighten them out. Here's why you want to make the beans really soft. You basically do this. That's the basic process. in the interest of time, I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. About like that. Some people, I tend to smash all the beans. Some people will leave a few whole. You know, maybe they like a chunkier miso. That's not my thing. I like to get it all as uniform as possible. So it's a little more work, but I like it that way. So, you know, we started with about 16, 17 pounds of beans. It's probably gone up to 20-some pounds. So little by little, we'll get all that done and into 2 piles. So that's what we're going to do now. So we finished with the beans. They're all smashed. It took us a lot less time with 4 people. We used the 2 suribachi. We cheated a little bit with the hand blender in the interest of time. So we've got about a lot. We've got a lot. And the leftover water from the beans that we cooked, we're not throwing that away. That would be mottainai. We're going to use that in making our own soups because it's got a lot of the nutrition from the beans in the water. So nothing goes to waste. So that's what we're going to do. Next thing that's going to happen is we'll divide up this into 2 mostly equal piles, and then we'll add the sea salt and the koji. Alright, after some higher level mathematics, we were able to divide the smashed beans into 2 equal portions. Overall, we have about 23 pounds, I would say, of mashed soybeans. And with that, we're now going to mix sea salt, and we're going to mix koji. Koji, I've got 2 types of koji. This is steamed glutinous rice that's been inoculated with a fungus, and it's the same stuff that they use when they make soy sauce or sake, stuff like that. This is similar to this, only that it's barley instead of rice. So we're going to make a regular red miso, and we're going to make a barley mugi miso. They say that the one with the barley is actually sweeter. Time will tell. We often mix them together. And this is plain old sea salt. We haven't portioned out the salt yet. We'll do that shortly. But for the meantime, we're going to basically open this up, break it up into very small pieces, and hand mix it in with the bean paste. Okay, so here's the koji. It's on top like so. And just mix it by hand. I'll add the salt after this. Into each kilogram of, for each kilogram of beans and koji, I'm going to use 400 grams of salt. And when I do that, I'm going to set aside about 40 or 50 grams for use later when we're packaging it up. But for now, I'm just going to mix this in as best I can. And there you go. It's messy. It gets messy from here, and it stays messy for a while. Okay, the koji's been all mixed in. It's looking good. Nicely mixed. And now we're going to add this salt. It's just regular old sea salt. I've got 2 kilograms of beans, which means I need a total of 800 grams of salt. But from each 800, I'm taking about 40 for use later. So here's the 80 grams I've set aside. I've got 3, here's the rest of the salt that's going to go in here. So this is actually a little lighter on the salt than, it's really salty anyway, but it's on the low salt side for miso. But if you go any lower than this, you might be tempted to say, oh, I better cut the amount of salt. If you do that, you're courting fungus when you're aging the miso. You could get a large growth of fungus. The salt prevents that from happening. So we'll mix this up, and then we're ready to basically put it in the containers. But we're going to do the same thing with the barley koji as well. So I just wanted to show you guys. This is the barley koji. It comes in a block like this, and you break it up with your hands. And it has an interesting smell. It kind of smells like, it's hard to describe. It's almost like, if you've ever had hot grape nut cereal, it smells like grape nuts almost. And it kind of almost looks like grape nuts. It's kind of weird. But yeah, you break this up, and then